The IRS is building a vast system to share millions of taxpayers' data with ICE. Tyrone Bowman Live, let's talk about it. According to ProPublica, the Internal Revenue Service is building a computer program that would give deportation officers unprecedented access to confidential tax data. Last month, in a previously undisclosed dispute, the acting general counsel at the IRS, Andrew D. Mello, refused to turn over the addresses of 7.3 million taxpayers sought by ICE. In an email obtained by ProPublica, D. Mello said he had identified multiple legal, quote, deficiencies, end quote, in the agency's request. 2 days later, on June 27, D. Mello was forced out of his job. People familiar with the dispute said the addresses have not yet been released to ICE. D. Mello did not respond to requests for comment as requested by ProPublica, and the administration did not address questions sent by ProPublica about his departure. The Department of Government Efficiency began pushing the IRS to provide taxpayer data to immigration agents soon after President Donald Trump took office. The tax agency's acting general counsel refused and was replaced by D. Mello, who Trump administration officials viewed as more willing to carry out the president's agenda. Soon after, the Department of Homeland Security, ICE's parent agency, and the IRS negotiated a, quote, memorandum of understanding, end quote, that included specific legal guardrails to safeguard taxpayers' private information. In his email, D. Mello said ICE's request for millions of records did not meet those requirements, which include having a written assurance that each taxpayer whose address is being sought was under active criminal investigation. Quote, there's just no way ICE has 7 million real criminal investigations. That's a fantasy, end quote, said a former senior IRS official who had been advising the agency on the issue. The demands from the DHS were unprecedented, the official added, saying the agency was pressing the IRS to do what amounted to a, quote, a big data dump. In the past, when law enforcement sought IRS data to support its investigations, agencies would give the IRS the full legal name of the target and address on file and an explanation of why the information was relevant to a criminal inquiry. Such requests rarely involve more than a dozen people at a time, former IRS officials said. Danny Werfel, IRS commissioner during the Biden administration, said the privacy laws allowing federal investigators to obtain taxpayer data have never, quote, been read to open the door to sharing of thousands of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of tax records for a broad-based enforcement initiative, end quote. A spokesperson for the White House said the planned use of IRS data was legal and a means of fulfilling Trump's campaign pledge to carry out mass deportations of, quote, illegal criminal aliens, end quote. Taxpayer data is among the most confidential in the federal government and is protected by strict privacy laws, which have historically limited its transfer to law enforcement and other government agencies. Unauthorized disclosure of taxpayer return information is a felony that can carry a penalty of up to 5 years in prison. The system that the IRS is now creating would give ICE automated access to home addresses en masse, limiting the ability of IRS officials to consider the legality of transfers. IRS insiders who reviewed a copy of the blueprint said it could result in immigration agents rating wrong or outdated addresses. Quote, if this program is implemented in its current form, it's extremely likely that incorrect addresses will be given to DHS and individuals will be wrongly targeted, end quote, said an IRS engineer who examined the blueprints and who, like other officials, spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retribution. The dispute that ended in D. Mello's ouster was the culmination of months of pressure on the IRS to turn over massive amounts of data in ways that would redefine the relationship between the agency and law enforcement and reduce taxpayers' privacy records, interviews show. In one meeting in late March between senior IRS and DHS officials, a top ICE official made a suggestion. Why doesn't Homeland Security simply provide the name and state of its targets and have the IRS return the addresses of everyone who matches that criteria? The IRS lawyers were stunned. They feared they could face criminal liability if they handed over the addresses of individuals who were not under a criminal investigation. The conversation and news of deeper collaboration with ICE so disturbed career staff that it led to a series of departures in late March and early April across the IRS's legal, IT, and privacy issues. They were pushing the boundaries of the law, one official said. Everyone at IRS felt the same way. The technical blueprint obtained by ProPublica shows that engineers at the agency are preparing to give DHS what it wants, a system that enables a massive automated data shrinking, or data sharing. The goal is to launch the new system before the end of July, two people familiar with the matter said. The DHS effort to obtain IRS data comes as top immigration enforcement leaders face escalating White House pressure to deport some 3,000 people per day, according to reports. One federal agent tasked with assisting ICE on deportations said recent operations have been hamstrung by outdated addresses. Better information could drastically or dramatically speed up arrest. Some of the leads that were given of us were old, said the agent, who spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak with the press. They are like from 2 administrations ago. In early March, immigration rights groups sued the IRS, hoping to block the plan, arguing that the memorandum of understanding between DHS and the IRS is illegal. But a judge in early May ruled against them, saying the broader agreement complied with Section 6103, the existing law regulating IRS data sharing, that opened the door for engineers to begin building the system. The judge did not address the technical blueprint, which didn't exist at the time of the ruling, but the case is pending, which means the new system could still come under legal review. Until now, little was known about the push and pull between the two agencies or the exact technical mechanics behind the arrangement. The plan has been shrouded in secrecy, even within the IRS, with details of its development withheld from regular communications. Several IRS engineers and lawyers have avoided working on the project out of concerns about personal legal risk. Asked about the new system, a spokesperson for IRS parent company, the Treasury Department, said the Memorandum of Understanding, often called an MOU, quote, has been litigated and determined to be a lawful application of Section 6103, which provides for information sharing by the IRS in precise circumstances associated with law enforcement requests, end quote. At a time when Trump is making threats to deport not only undocumented immigrants, but also U.S. citizens, the scope of information sharing with the IRS could continue to grow, according to documents reviewed by ProPublica and sources familiar with the matter. DHS has been looking for ways to expand the agreement that could allow Homeland Security officials to seek IRS data on Americans being investigated for various crimes. Last month, an ICE attorney proposed updating the MOU to authorize new data requests on people, quote, associated with criminal activities, which may include United States citizens or lawful permanent residents, end quote. According to a document seen by ProPublica, the status of this proposal is unclear. DeMello at the time rejected it and called for senior Treasury Department leadership to personally sign off on such a significant change. The White House described DHS work with the IRS as a good faith effort to identify and deport those who are living in the country illegally. I'm going to make this a 2-part video because there's a lot of information here to absorb at one time, and I want to make sure that the videos are not longer than 10 minutes. So, until next time, never surrender, never quit.